Rosie came to my house and stayed with me for a month, and or 3 weeks or something, and we just, you know, put bits and dabs down on tape and swapped ideas. It was very helpful, really. And then we go down to Ridgebridge Studios and play them live, play them loud, which really worked out well. We got the album together within 3 weeks.
Tony Martin was the singer, had been on the Eternal Idol album, and we just pushed the thing together from there and worked on the situation from that point, and spent about 6 months trying to get the feel of the new album, which was subsequently called the Headless Cross, together. And then it all just came from there. We got the initial tracks done. We got Neil Murray, which is a bass player that I used to work with before. He came involved, and Jeff Nichols did some keyboard work on the album. So we pulled the thing together from a very shaky start, and from there we then went on to the next album and so on. And it came together quite quickly once we'd started. It just needed a little bit of a steadying action, which I'm pleased to say I got involved with from that point.
Tony and I got together initially. I got a few ideas sort of scratched together on one tape, and I went up to Tony's house, and he said, "Oh, you want some riffs?" And he went into the cupboard and pulled out 4 bags, the shopping bags full of cassettes, and there must have been about 30 or 40 riffs on each cassette.
This man here is the master of the metal riff, just so as you all know, Mr. Irony, and well, a great player who's always been a leader of the field, I think, in heavy metal. This man is, I think, the originator of it all. So, I mean, it's a great honour to come in and play for Sabbath. And I'm looking forward to this tour, because I think it's going to be the best lineup that Sabbath have ever had.
It definitely will, yeah. In fact, I'm very embarrassed now asking that question.
So you should be.
Oh, dear.
Most of the songs on this album are actually true. They have different stories, and each one is a true story. Headless Cross, you probably know most of it.
Yeah, I saw an interview with you, Antonio, on MTV. You talked about
yeah, Headless Cross is a place.
the village and stuff.
That's right, where we used to live. I used to live there. It was wiped out by the plague a few hundred years ago. And then there's Kill in the Spirit World, which is on the B-side of the album. That was written about a cottage in Wales that's haunted. And that's a story about that. Nightwing was a story about barn owls.
About what?
Barn owls, you know, birds.
Oh yeah.
An owl that we have in England, and it's pure white, and it hunts at night, and it's looking at the dark side of a hunter, a night hunter. So it's a story about nature, if you like. And people think that you're involved in Satanism and eating babies and, you know, biting the heads off bats.
Yeah.
But they're all stories about
There
life.
must be a way out of here.
There's got to be.
Sorry about that.
There.
Yeah. We're still here, yes. Nobody turned the heating up, so we're probably actually not going to make the end of the programme. But whilst we are still here, here's yet another question. This one's from Richard Johnson from Carrollton, Georgia. I hadn't even heard of that either. Carrollton, Georgia.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
I didn't realise there were so many places in the States I didn't know. Anyway, he asked, you thanked Brian May on the album for the solo. What song does he appear on? Well, he's your mate, old chap, you can answer.
Well, yeah. What do you want to hear about Brian? He does play on When Death Calls in the solo. Didn't know that, did you?
He's actually taller than Tony as well, which is a...
Just a little
really
bit. Mind you, he
useless
does
piece
wear
of information.
clogs.
Yeah, he does.
The same clogs that when he started, he's still got. He's been a good friend for 20 years, and so I think it's about time we had I've never had another guitar player play on the Sabbath album before, so it's quite a first now. But he's one chap who's a definite exception, and I'm glad he did. Great player.
Yeah,
great player.
good solo as well.
made a video for Devil and Daughter?
No, we haven't had time. We've been out on the road working, so they released the single while we were sort of out in America, and we didn't get a chance to do a video for that. So
It's a great song, I think.
you like that one?
Pretty much for the radio as well, I think.
Oh,
I mean, it's very hard.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a fantasy song, but it's a story of just a fantasy thing.
I think critics were almost giving up on Black Sabbath at this point because they'd gone through so many changes of direction and changes of singer. They were reaching the point of almost of no return, really.
But we just hope that people like this.
Yeah.
You know, this album, this Headless Cross album, it's probably one of the most important albums that Black Sabbath have made.
Headless Cross, and people may not agree with me, I think it's the best Black Sabbath album after Heaven and Hell. I think it's even better than Mob Rules. I think it's a magnificent record. It was a record where it all came together and gelled for a new era, right at the end of the 1980s. Great musically, great songs, it gelled, it worked. It was a wonderful album. It was as if, because things had gone so wrong for so long, there was no pressure anymore, and they wrote this magnificent album, just full of wonderful tunes.
It's a challenge. A lot of people have written the band off, and there's a lot of bad things been said about the band in the past. And the only way you can really come back and put all those things to rest are to come back with a great album.
Headless Cross was the beginning of an upswing in the fortunes of Black Sabbath, certainly the post-Aussie Black Sabbath.
Headless Cross is Tony Martin's finest hour with Black Sabbath.
I thought Headless Cross certainly had its moments. I think the song Headless Cross, again, is another Sabbath classic.
They create a very bombastic, loud, heavy rock album.
I don't think Headless Cross was a great album. I think it was a good album. I can remember when it first came out, I think it was IRS Records, and a lot of press was written about it, and Kerrang and so on, and they kept ranting and raving about how fantastic the album was. And it was good, but it wasn't fantastic.
It's not regarded in the same terms as, say, a Paranoid or a Masters of Reality or a Heaven and Hell. And that's probably because the quality of all the songs doesn't hold up to the quality of all the songs on those other records. But it's certainly a very, very good record, and still one that you can listen to today and get a lot out of.
I think it laid down a marker. It wasn't the best post-Aussie album, but it was among them. And I think it showed the way that Sabbath were going to try and progress through the 80s and into the 90s.